Hey folks, David Stewart here. Did you hear that there is another libertarian organization that is leaving Twitter out of protest? It is the EFF this time. After almost 20 years on the platform, EFF is logging off of X. This isn't a decision we made lightly, but it might be overdue. And the reasons they gave basically boil down to people are offensive here and we don't like the owner because he endorsed a Republican. And all libertarian organizations get turned to left-wing causes over time. I have witnessed this so many times. It's like kind of beaten libertarian syndrome. When I was a libertarian in my youth, or I identified as such, you just get used to everything that you are involved in, everything you believe in being subverted. You get used to being massively disappointed with everyone involved in the movement. You just get used to things being unlibertarian in the Libertarian Party. Why would you leave X? X is the most free speech social media platform. The reason you're leaving it is because the person who took it over is a leftist, right? And it's kind of this old. I'm trying to remember who created this razor, but any organization that's not explicitly right wing will become left wing over time. Now you think libertarian, isn't that more like a right wing kind of thing? And it is to people on the left wing. But it's clearly not right-wing enough to not just be subverted and become leftist over time. There were libertarian presidential candidates who were marijuana dealers. You had guys telling people that they had to bake the damn cake. It's just really, it's very demoralizing if you're a liberty-minded person to watch what just pretty much every libertarian organization has done over the years. I saw a really funny joke from Kirsova. Here's a picture. Here's a picture. Let's check out the picture here of the. Here is the current. here's the current director. 20 years of left-wing ACLU, UC Law, Berkeley Law, and deep in the San Francisco progressive scene. So it gets taken over by a leftist. But anyway, the funny thing I saw was from Kirsova, and it was, libertarians are like people that are like, I am going to lick everything in the house. Just watch me. And so you put a bunch of toilets in front of them and they proceed to lick the toilets and you're just laughing at it. It's like, okay, maybe licking everything out of spite and has backfired a little bit on you. Maybe that wasn't the best. Maybe that wasn't the best idea. So this is a great example to talk about as far as libertarians go. And this is not an attack on like libertarian philosophy or libertarian positions, merely that libertarian organizations get taken over time. I remember Reason Magazine becoming very anti-racist maybe 15 years ago, and me being really put off by it after a while, and then resorting to calling everybody Hitler. I remember when a couple of the editors were calling everybody Hitler. They were using everyone who disagrees with me as Hitler, a child's guide to political discourse. So they were doing that. They would promote people who were like into extremely degenerate things. Remember I said, anytime there's like freedom relative locally to something else, wherever you have that most freedom, it's just going to be turned to like really degenerate causes. Well, that happened with Reason Magazine. They were promoting drug use. They were promoting like polygamy and all kinds of weird things. They would just give their platform to anybody who was against the basic social fabric of what allows our society to work. Over time, I just became very disillusioned with Reason Magazine. And of course, if you look at, it's supposed to be based on the philosophy of Ayn Rand. If you look at her personal life, you're going to become quite disenchanted with a lot of the things that she has to say as well, because it's sort of nakedly, it is naked selfishness in a really negative way as far as what she's doing, the way she lived her life, the fact that she like cucked her husband. Like, it's just, libertarianism on its surface has a lot of attractive arguments, especially against the state. But once you start throwing people into the mix, you get this really disappointing and disgusting group of people that get attracted to it. It's sort of the fedora, the sweaty fedora people of politics end up being pulled into the libertarian cone whatever you want to call it there. So the EFF, it's another great example of something that it's started by somebody who's very individualistic, very freedom mind. It gets subverted. They're still going to be on Blue Sky, which is not as free speech a platform. The list that they gave is like, our engagement is down on X. It's like, well, have you tried posting things that people care about? You know, this is always a belief that if your engagement goes down, it's because the platform has sabotaged you somehow. And I know, because I've complained about YouTube and things like that. And I've said, like, here's where algorithms have changed and I've lost like 90% of my traffic really quickly. But how you respond to that is up to you. Do you just like complain about the platform, or do you change what you're doing? Do you change what you're doing? Do you figure out how to continue to reach people? They would rather just pretend that the problem is with X. The real problem is with that they don't like the personalities who are running X, and then they'll go post over on anti-free speech sites. They'll be on Blue Sky or something else like that. That's just a libertarian, not a libertarian. It's just a liberal, or maybe we call it like a socialist struggle session eternally. Digital, eternal socialist struggle session. I would love to know your thoughts on it if you have any. I do read the comments and I do try to respond to them. And I'll check you all next time. What do you think about it? Have a great one.